good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the January 12th, 2022 meeting of the Pasco Hearing Examiner, and my name is Andy Kotkamp. And I've been appointed by the City of Pasco to serve as a land use hearing examiner. My job is to render decisions and recommended decisions on various applications that are authorized to come before me. I consider any testimony from any of the witnesses that testify today, as well as all the written materials that are already on file in order to make my decision. Now, the hearing process does have certain rules, and I just want to let you know how the hearing is going to proceed. But I still try to conduct the meetings in a relaxed and informal manner. So we'll take each item separately on the agenda that you see there in front of you. For each item, staff will present their report and make whatever recommendations that they wish to make. Then the applicant or the applicant's representative is given an opportunity to present their testimony and evidence. The applicant does have the burden of proof to show compliance with all of the applicable rules and regulations. Next, if somebody from the public came to testify, I'll give them that opportunity to do so. And if there is any testimony in opposition to the project we're talking about, I will give the applicant an opportunity to submit whatever rebuttal testimony that they would like to make. Now, if you are going to testify, we'll have you come forward or unmute yourself if you're online. I'll have you state your name and address, and then I'm going to swear you in as a witness. I'd ask that you keep your testimony relevant to the application that we're talking about and not to other issues beyond the scope of the proposal. If you have something in writing that you want to submit today, we can make those arrangements. I have the option following this hearing to keep the record open if I think there's a need for additional written testimony to be received, but in any event, my decisions will be made within 10 working days after I close the public record. I want to talk about the items that are on today's agenda, and we're going to go through them after I turn to the agenda items and get through this explanation. But I want you to be aware that on the first item is actually the zoning determination. That will end up being continued on the record when we get through with this process, or get through with this introduction. The next three items, B, C, and D, are rezone requests, and those I make a recommendation to the city council. I make a recommended decision. My decision is not appealable. The appealable decision would come from the city council, but I want to note that this is the only open record public hearing. So when this matter goes in front of the city council, it's a closed record hearing. The city council will hear or have available to them the evidence that's presented at today's hearing, as well as my recommendation, and then the city council will make their final decision. On the special permit and the preliminary plat, those are final decisions that I will make. Those are appealable. Those are appealed by what's called a land use petition action and have to be filed within 21 days of the date of the issuance of my decision. And if the appeal isn't timely filed, the appeal would be barred. Now, for the planned utility district, that's actually more like a rezone. So that's a recommendation that I make to city council. So the PUD and the preliminary plat, they'll actually be two separate decisions for those. One for the plat decision, that's a final decision that's appealable. And the PUD decision, which is a recommendation. So I just wanted to make that clear to everybody as we get started here tonight on this. I've reviewed each of the items on today's agenda. I don't have any interest in any of those properties or the proposals to be heard today. And I'll be able to fairly and objectively consider each item. And then outside of receiving and reviewing the staff report for each item, along with all the attachments to the staff report, which generally included application materials and noticing documents, there are agency and public comments that have been submitted on all the items. There's a SEPA documents on some of the items. Basically, other than receiving and reviewing essentially the entire planning staff file, I've not had any communication regarding any of the items that are on today's agenda. So with those representations, if you have any objection to me serving as the hearing examiner for any of these specific items, you do need to come forward or unmute yourself and state so at this time. Is there anybody in the hearing room there?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. So hearing none, we'll turn to the first item on today's agenda. As you indicated, this is the zoning determination given application number ZD 2021-003. We've had a few things going on with this this item that was originally on for hearing, I believe, in December. But we have some noticing issues we need to take care of, and so this matter is going to be continued until February 9th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Is that the request that's made by staff, Mr. Adams?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I'm going to do this on the record that ZD 2021-003 has been continued until February 9, 2022 at 6 p.m. So now we will turn to the second item on today's agenda. And this is I need to get it so that I can get into my computer. This is a request for a rezone from RT from RT to R3. This is application number Z 2021-015. I will admit into the record at this time by this reference, again, the staff report that's been submitted, the SEPA documents, the noticing documents, all of the aerial photographs and maps. I'll admit all those items. Indeed, I will admit the entire planning staff file into the record at this time by this reference, and turn this matter over to Mr. Adams for the staff presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Just for your information, I will be handling all the items except for the last one, the preliminary plat.
Okay.
This is master file Z21 or 2021-015. Caleb Stromstad, Octerra, requesting Big Sky Developers LLC rezone a property from RT, which is residential transition, to R3, which is medium density residential. The location is Lot 8 of Record Survey 1932652, parcel 115210038, which is located along the south side of Burns Road, approximately 3/4 of a mile west of Broadmoor Boulevard, as you can see on the map. Again, it is currently zoned residential transition, and the site contains approximately 47.3 acres. Applicant wishes to rezone the parcel from RT, which is residential transition, to R3, medium density residential. For the information of the public, notice was sent to property owners within 300 feet of the property and posted in the Tri-City Herald on December 20th, 2021. The city has recently approved a major update to its comprehensive plan, and the comprehensive plan designates the lot medium density residential. The medium density residential designation allows for R3 zoning, and it may be developed with single family dwellings, patio homes, townhouses, apartments, and condominiums. The medium density residential designation may be developed with between 6 to 20 dwelling units per acre. The rezone request is consistent with the comprehensive plan land use map designation. The site is also located in the Broadmoor area plan, which likewise identifies the site for a medium density residential development. So those are the highlights of this report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
No, this one looks fairly straightforward. I do not have any questions for staff on this. Thank you very much, Mr. Adams. Is the applicant available or present to testify tonight?
Yes, Caleb Stromstad here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you?
Doing good, thank you.
All right. Can you state your name and an address for the record?
Caleb Stromstad. And business address is 2705 St. Andrews Loop, Pasco, Washington.
All right. I can't see you, but I'll take your word for it. Mr. Stromstad, can you raise your right hand?
Yes, sir.
And do you swear or certify under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give tonight will be the truth?
I do.
All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Stromstad, are you here as an agent authorized to appear and speak on behalf of the applicants and property owners?
Yes, I am.
All right. Terrific. And what would you like to tell me about this project?
We're in agreement with the staff's recommendation for approval and here to answer any questions if they come up. It should be a pretty simple one tonight, but I'll be standing by if there's any questions.
Well, so you've had a chance to look at the staff report and you heard the staff presentation, correct?
I've reviewed the staff report, the determination of non-significance. Everything looks good from our end.
All right, so you don't have any objection or, to any of the representations within that staff report. Is that fair to say?
That's correct.
All right, terrific. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, sir.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for coming in. I
Thank
am
you.
not able to see if there are members of the public here, so I don't know if Mr. Adams, Mr. Funfar, if somebody wants to poll anybody that's here online to see if they want to testify on this matter.
I believe that's the extent of those wishing to testify, Mr. Examiner.
All right, thank you very much. So no members of the public testifying. Is there anything further from staff on this?
No, sir.
All right, thank you very much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the public record portion of this hearing. And Mr. Stromstad, you can let your clients know that I will have a recommended decision out within the next 10 working days. Today is Wednesday. I will do my best to get it out before the end of this week, but it's probably more likely going to be sometime during next week, just to let you know. Okay, we'll turn to the next item on today's agenda. This is also a rezone application. Given application number Z 2021-016. This is a request for a rezone from RS20 to RS12 or RS1. And this relates to property located within the city of Pasco that is more specifically described in staff report as well as in all the application materials. For the record, I will admit into the record that staff report and all those attachments to the staff report, which included all of the application materials, all of the noticing documents that have come through. There have been agency and public comments that have come through. I'll admit all those items. Indeed, I will admit the entire planning staff file into the record at this time by this reference. And once again, turn this matter over to Mr. Adams for the staff presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Again, this is master file number Z 2021-016, Sabera Villa Cannon. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Yes. I see a nod. This is for a property located at 8812 West Court Street, which is at the southwest corner of Road 88 and West Court Street. Parcel number 118-331-010 is currently zoned RS20, low density residential. The site contains 0.6 acres. Applicant wishes to rezone that parcel from RS20 to either RS12 or RS1. RS12 is 12,000 square foot lot minimum. RS1 is 10,000 square foot lot minimum. Public notice of this hearing was sent to property owners within 300 feet of the property and posted in the Tri-City Herald on December 20th, 2021. I have an affidavit of mailing in my hand here in case anyone needs to examine that. I know that there might have been some delays in mail due to the holiday rush, so we are cognizant of that. Applicant has noted that there are, and this is included in the staff report, but for the public's benefit, applicant has noted that there's one duplex 3 houses down at 8904 West Court Street, which was developed in 1970, as well as 2 houses on the corner of West Court Street and Road 92, which were built in 1967 and 1972, respectively. And these 3 units were all built under the old Franklin County regulations over 30 years prior to annexation. Franklin County zoning regulations no longer apply. Per section 12.36.050 of the Pasco Municipal Code, adequate and proper right-of-way improvements shall be required at the time of development. In this case, 10 feet of right-of-way dedication would be needed for along Court Street and Road 88. This right-of-way dedication adjacent to West Court Street would reduce the lot size by 1,307, approximately 1,300 square feet to approximately 24,841 square feet. This would result in tight tolerances for short platting into 2 lots under the RS-12 zoning. The rear setback of the dwelling will severely impact the allowable proximity of a new lot line near the existing dwelling. Given the above, it would make more sense for applicant to request RS1 rather than RS-12 zoning. This would give the owner more flexibility in terms of building and setback placement, but would still limit the subdivision of the original lot to 2 lots. And we should point out that regardless of which of these 2 options might be granted, it would still be a 2-lot subdivision given the original lot size. We also point out that the subdivision itself was designed for large lots, and so this would not be characteristic of the current neighborhood design. On the other hand, the comprehensive plan allows for RS20, RS12, RS1, and R1 zoning in this area. And so we are reluctant to make a recommendation because of that that ambiguity. So that is our staff report.
All right, thank you very much. You indicated the applicant is present. Is the applicant ready to proceed?
Yes, applicant is coming to the podium.
Please unmute. Can you hear me? We're here.
I can hear you, but I can't see you. Is there a way for the camera to change so I can see him, or is that not possible tonight?
That I don't know.
I understand that. Well, that's okay. We'll keep going. Sir, can you state your name and an address for me for the record?
My name is Amel Velichinin. My mom is next to me. Her name is Sabira Velichinin. Address is 8812 West Court Street here in Pasco.
Sir, how do you spell your first name?
Amel.
All right, and your mother is the applicant, is that right?
My mother is next to me. Her name is Sabira.
All right, so I'm going to have you raise your right hand for me. I'm going to ask you, do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give today will be the truth?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. So are you here, sir, to speak on behalf of the applicant and property owner today? Oh, hi, there you are.
Hi.
Actually, I live in that house, and my mom and I co-own the house. And the biggest reason we want to do this, we've had a couple of freak accidents that have happened on Road 88 and Court Street. We actually had a person that died in our property. That's one of the biggest reasons. But the second biggest reason is my folks are getting pretty old, and I like to move them right next to me. We would like to divide the property, potentially build a smaller house for them, and then I have a couple of kids and a wife, and our current house is way too small for 2 families. That is the biggest reason we're trying to do that. On the Road 92 on Court Street, there's a property that is divided like that in half. I understand it was a long time ago. That is our intent. We'd like to divide it, build a couple of houses, one small one for them so I can take care of my family. That is why we're here.
Well, you, as an applicant, you have the burden of proof. You have to demonstrate that all of these criteria in the Pasco Municipal Code have been met. And one of the important criteria is that there has been a change in conditions. Normally that relates to a comprehensive plan change, but there's been a change of conditions which warrant this change in zoning. I haven't seen anything on that issue. Do you have any evidence to present about the changed conditions?
I do not. We're not 100% sure how this all goes. We were just trying to see if we can do it so we can build a couple of houses right there. So I do not.
All right. Ma'am, is there something that you wanted to say?
Christina, isn't it?
No,
Okay.
This is my mom,
Ah.
and dad is here too, and that is the biggest reason we're trying to just,
I am a little bit embarrassed for my accent, but we really wanted rezoning and build 2 houses. They will be much better looking for neighborhood,
Yes.
for city. There will be, I think now is big and small house and all around is not fix everything how the post to be.
correct, and this house is not really fixable. It's not something that we can just add on or something like that. We would have to start from scratch, and it's kind of in a bad spot, and like I said, I like to take care of my family, my mom and dad, and that was the biggest reason. Yeah, I think it will also be better for the city because there would be 2 city sewers, 2 electrical, 2 everything. The only other thing that I wanted to say again on Road 92 and Court Street, as a property that is identical, it would be mimicking what we were trying to do. If you look on the map, it was built way before, but it is a quarter of a lot. And it would be the same thing. We're on 88, this would be on 92 in Court Street, so it would be like that.
Okay,
Possible, yeah.
That's it.
all right. Is there anything else you'd like to add tonight?
No, thank you very much.
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for coming in.
We appreciate for your time.
Glad you came in, thank you. Is there any member of the public that wanted to testify on this matter?
Yes, Mr. Examiner.
All right, I'll have you state your name and your address when you get up there. Thank you.
Hello, good evening, sir. My name is Dana Crutchfield, and I live at 8914 Whipple in Lakeview Addition.
And it's Crutchfield, just like it sounds?
Crutchfield, Crutchfield.
Perfect, I got it. Would you raise your right hand for me, ma'am? Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give today will be the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you. And what would you like to tell me about this?
Well, I have several points that I'd like to speak to before my husband speaks. Number one, I was a little concerned about the notification from the city, although I do understand they said the petitions or the letters were sent out on the 20th of December. No one has received them, not any of the 7 applicants within the 300-foot region. The only reason that we became aware was because an adjacent property owner had a conversation with the applicant and made us aware they had much opposition to the applicant's plan. And so with that, we did some checking with the city, and we went ahead and canvassed the neighborhood in spite of, 12 inches of snow or 6 inches or what have you. We were able to get a unanimous petition signing, I think you have that, by at least 20 residents of Lakeview Addition. They were not aware of this process, but when they became aware, they were very much in opposition. And I'd like to point out a couple of points on that. Most of these residents have lived there for a long time, at least 20 years, some more, as myself, and have made a large investment in the quality of the neighborhood, the large lots. My husband will speak to the specifics as far as the R20 and the city's plan when they place sewer. However, in canvassing some of the neighbors, one of them made the comment that he was familiar with what he called upzoning. I was not, but he had lived in several communities where that had been done. And he said it was, I believe he used the word disaster. It really eroded the neighborhood. Our properties are unique. The zoning has been in place when the applicants bought their property. In 2006, they bought 2 properties, and it was zoned as it is currently. And to allow a certain party to squeeze in, perhaps they're going to build a house, I don't know. You know, they might sell it to a builder, who knows? In our opinion, would really drastically change the character of the neighborhood and also allow for further potential problems because there is a vacant lot. It would be west on Whipple. Again, it's in Lakeview Addition. And possibly that could be divided into 2 houses, a duplex, what have you. The property that they refer to, the little duplex on Road 92 and Whipple, that has been there, I believe, again, my husband could probably state to the date, decades, long before the city annexed and made the current zoning. And I'd also like to point out that R20 zoning continues down Court Street. And I know that because I own a property down there, and I know I can speak that I am sure that most, if not many, of the residents, myself included, would be very disturbed to think that the precedent could be set to change the zoning to allow for, you know, smaller lot sizes, potentially, again, I use the word cramming in something in this nature, definitely. I don't believe I have anything else really to add. I think I've hit most of the points that I wanted to make. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you very much for coming in.
You're welcome.
I understand somebody else would like to provide testimony tonight, if you can come forward. Good evening.
Good evening.
Your name and address, please?
Gary Crutchfield, 8914 Whipple Road, Pasco.
And I think I heard the name right, but it's Gary, is that correct?
Yes, G-A-R-Y.
All right, thank you. Sir, could you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give tonight will be the truth?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Sir, what would you like to tell me?
Well, you know, my wife has noted that we've submitted a petition, so I won't be redundant over that, but I do want to point out several specific things that are noted in the staff report. Rather than go into a lot of detail and be repetitive, I'll try to focus just on those few so that you have it in your record. On page 2 of the report, under the site description, it says the rezone request is consistent with the comprehensive plan land use map designation. Yes, it is. However, so is the existing zoning. Is also consistent with the plan. But I should also note that if I were writing that, I would say, however, the proposal conflicts with the surrounding zoning and lot sizes established for some number of years, as my wife noted earlier. Let's see, she already talked about the duplex at, the duplex on Court Street that was referenced by the applicant and the staff report notes that it was built in 1970, long before annexation. But more important than that is the fact that it's on a lot just as it was platted 70 years ago in the 50s. It's over 20,000 square feet in size. So it's not an example to warrant changing a lot elsewhere. The staff report at the bottom of page 2 says under the date, the rezone criteria, one of them is the date the existing zone became effective. And it became effective with annexation. And it says it's not changed since then. And I should note that not only for that site, but also for the entire Lakeview Addition neighborhood, it has remained the same, not only in Lakeview, frankly, but the surrounding zone neighborhoods as well. So it's very pervasive standard that was assigned to that larger area because a lot of the people who agreed to annexation in 2002 were concerned about making sure the city didn't come along and create a lot of small lots because there's a sewer line going in. That was the major fear of the residents. So the city created the RS-20 zone and assigned it to that area to assure people that it wouldn't happen. And here we are being presented with a proposal. And we understand that someone can request something, but it doesn't mean it has to be granted. On page 3, the staff report on number 4 says that the measures the effect on the value and character of the adjacent property and the comprehensive plan. I would submit to you that the effect on the adjacent property is far more important than the effect on the comprehensive plan. However, I'll leave it to say that what it amounts to, it says it goes to great pains to note that it is not spot zoning. Well, I agree, it is not spot zoning, but I would submit to you, it is spot density assignment. When you, as my wife said, cram another lot into an area that is a clearly large lot for some time. And there's been no change to warrant any kind of variation from that. And as you yourself noted, that doesn't appear to be any reason that has been created to warrant a change in zoning, or at least in density. And also, just since this is the only chance we can have to get matters on the record, I'm sorry, but I have to do this because I can't do it later. At the top of page 5, Mr. Examiner, I would note that the reference to the duplex and lot on Road 92, that's a quarter mile from the subject site. A quarter mile gets quite a ways out there. It is it's on the other edge of the Lakeview addition. I would add a number 23 to the staff conclusions or findings, and that is that the neither of the requested zones, RS-12 or RS-1, would be consistent with the established development character of the community or their surrounding vicinity or the immediate vicinity, nor the surrounding neighborhood. I think that's important to have that in as a finding of fact. I'm not sure what happened on page 6, or I just don't understand. Number 2 says the effect of the proposal on the immediate vicinity will not be material or detrimental. That is a factor that the staff is attempting to address in terms of conclusions. And it goes on to talk about the low density residential development of the site would be generally compatible with the type and density under the plan. That is true. However, it goes on to talk about it is south of and adjacent to existing residential development and would be located east of and adjacent to a planned open space area. I'm not aware of any open space area anywhere near that. It is also, it goes on to say, it is also located a convenient distance from a large mixed-use interchange plan designation, which will include a variety of commercial services. Again, I'm not sure what they're referring to. It's not in the facts, so I'm not sure how it got in the conclusions. I wonder if this wasn't just a mistake in preparation of the report in terms of cutting and pasting a report and got something from another report that shouldn't be in here. And it goes on to say that the applicant, it finishes that discussion with the statement that the proposal will not be materially detrimental to the immediate vicinity. Mr. Examiner, I would submit very strongly that allowing either requested zone change would result in a house being built with the front yard being on Road 88, thereby creating a side yard adjacent to the rear yard of the lot immediately south. If I lived there, my entire backyard would suddenly become the viewing point for a two-story house 10 feet from my backyard. To me, that would represent an adverse material effect. And I don't think it's right for the staff to conclude, or anyone to conclude, that that would not have some material effect on the enjoyment of my property. One other thing I need to note is that throughout the staff report, it refers to the comprehensive plan has recently been updated for the area and now designates the area for low density residential. I would submit, excuse me, I need some water. It's been a while since I spent this much time talking, so bear with me. The reference to the new or comprehensive plan update, it should be noted that for the record, that the comprehensive plan designation for this area has been the same, low density residential, since 1980. Will it be 40 years? It didn't just change. It's been that way. And that's why the area has developed the way it did. I know because I spent 12 years in the planning profession, municipal planning, and I authored the 1980 comprehensive plan. I think I'll conclude my remarks there with the observation that as we noted in the petition or the cover letter with the petition that was submitted to the city, that I understand that someone can look at another location and say, well, gee, that looks like what we want to do, and go a quarter mile away and want to do that. But as we've explained in short, two wrongs do not make a right. Just because a mistake was made 50 years ago, we shouldn't have to repeat it now and open the door for more and more and more of that. We request that you deny the request. There are plenty of options available for the property owner to replace the existing house with a new one, or sell that lot, buy one that suits their size desires and their personal living desires. Don't ask the neighborhood to accommodate those personal things. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in today, Mr. Crutchfield. Was there anybody else that wished to offer any testimony on this matter tonight?
We have one more coming up to the stand.
I've been up here before, sir. Can I just add one thing?
Very briefly.
Okay.
State your name and be brief.
Dana Crutchfield, 8914 Whipple. And I wanted to just add that one of the petition signees did something similar with her lot on Whipple, where she had an older home. She demolished that. She built a new home. And also where the applicant currently resides, the residents right across the street signed the petition in opposition, both of those parties. So I don't believe that just constructing another house so you can take care of your parents and build a second house is a good reason for our whole neighborhood to assume this potential problem. And there are other options. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there any other member of the public who wishes to testify? Yes.
This is
Name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Bira Veličanin. and I am applicant. I just
Oh,
wanted...
wait. You are the owner of the house?
Yes.
All right. I need to get through with the public. I want to make sure that there's no other member of the public that wants to testify.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Adams, is there anybody else from the public that wishes to testify?
Yes, one more.
All right, sir, your name and address, please.
Tom Robinson, 8813 Whipple.
All right, Mr. Robinson, would you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give tonight will be the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you very much. And sir,
Okay.
what would you like to tell me?
Okay, I'll make it short and sweet. Your aerial view of the properties. Okay. I hope you realize that the PUD has a 10-foot easement on the south side. I don't know if that was when you was talking about the lot sizes when they're split, how many square feet they have to build on, but you have to have a setback from the road. I believe it's 25 feet. You take that off there, you take the 10-foot easement, and you got to stay so many feet off the easement. The corner, if they're building two residences, then you have setbacks from Court Street and Road 88. And being on a corner, there's the road has to have so much visibility, so many feet from, I believe it's center line or whatever. So that reduces the amount of room. If you're putting two houses, you have to take all that off of all four sides, because the back you have to take off the setback from the property line also. So when you take all that into consideration, they're either going to be very small homes or crowded. My property is connected at my northeast corner and their southwest corner. And so I've talked to my next door neighbor that's on that other corner there at Whipple and 88, and he does not want to have a house button right up against his property there. And that's about all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for coming in, Mr. Robinson. Is there anybody else from the public that wishes to offer any testimony?
Don't see anybody.
All right, thank you, Mr. Adams. Now we'll go back to staff. Is there anything further from staff before we turn to the applicant?
No, sir.
The representations by Mr. Crutchfield as to the conclusions on staff regarding some information in number 2 on page 6, was that is that, I don't know how to say this, was that a cut and paste error, or is that correct information as far as you're aware?
Mr. Crutchfield is correct. That was an error on staff's part.
All right, thank you very much. All right, now I will turn it over to the applicant. Did the applicant wish to submit any rebuttal testimony?
Go
That
ahead.
would be you, Ms. Belikanen.
Yeah, she's conferring with her son.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you are both still under oath, and
Yes.
what would you like to say in rebuttal?
Okay, I just wanted to explain the reason why we wanted to do this, not just taking care for the parents. And me and my husband go to we are in pension, and I would like and I'm not, my health is not good, my husband not good, and I would like build one more house close to my kid, nice. And this is the only reason because we own it. They will be much better looking and much better taken care of.
Yes, we wanted to say that, but I also wanted to bring something up. The neighbor Tom that was speaking, that is on the corner of currently at my parents' house. If you look at the area view, his shop is literally, I don't know, 5-10 feet away from our property. So I mean, we were just thinking it would be better for the neighborhood and for everybody that if we went with smaller houses. We were not wanting to do like a big old house like that and a shop like that and all that, but it seems like the neighbors think that that's better and all that. Maybe we'll just go that route. We understand what's going on, and we were just trying to make it better, make it safer. We've had several accidents right there on Court Street. A bicycle person got ran over. A person died on my lot, right in front of my kid.
Yeah.
And so we were thinking about making the house smaller, nothing huge, nothing crowded, nothing
Not very.
two-story or anything like that, you know. So we appreciate the time, and we'll just have to look at different. Maybe we'll do
One big house.
one big house with a big shop with the mother-in-law suite connected to
Yeah.
it, and we'll go that route.
Yes,
Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you very much.
thank you.
I want to let you know that what I do is I make a recommendation to the city council, and the city council will make the final decision, just so you're aware of that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I'm going to close the public record portion of the hearing on this matter as well, and I will have a written recommendation made within the next 10 working days. The next item on today's agenda is also a rezone application. Given application number Z 2021-017. This is a request from Duarte for a rezone from RS12 to R1 relating to property located within City of Pasco that is more specifically described in the staff report as well as in the application materials. For the record, I will admit into the record that staff report and all the attachments to that staff report, which includes all the application materials, all the comments that have been submitted, all the aerial drawings and photographs and zoning information. I will admit all those items. Indeed, I will admit the entire planning staff file into the record at this time by this reference. And again, turn this matter over to Mr. Adams for the staff presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Again, for the benefit of the public, this is master file number Z 2021-017, permanent legacy, care of Juana Veronica Porras Duarte, RS12 to R1 rezone. This is a parcel situated on the northeast corner of North 28th Avenue and West Ellis Street in Pasco, parcel 119-300-257. The current zoning is RS12, which is low density residential. This site contains a half an acre. An applicant wishes to rezone the parcel from RS12, which is low density residential, to R1, which is also low density residential. Applicant wishes to create 3-lot subdivision on this half-acre lot. Again, for the benefit of the public, notice was sent to the property owners on December 20th, 2021 to the Tri-City Herald and circulated within 300 feet of the property. The area consists primarily of fully developed 12,000 square foot lots. If subdivided as per applicant's plan, the resultant 3 lots would be around 7,200 square feet. This is another instance where the comprehensive plan allows for RS12, RS20, RS1, R1 zoning. However, the surrounding neighborhood is fully developed with larger lots, and so would not be characteristic of the neighborhood. There's also some things about the lot that make it unique, the shape of it and the location adjacent, the freeway interchange. These are some of the things that can be taken into consideration with this rezone application. And that is staff's report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Adams. I have reviewed everything that's been submitted. I'm familiar with this project. Is the applicant ready to proceed?
Yes. Approaching the podium.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to have you state, whoever's going to testify, state your name and address, and then I'll swear you in as a witness.
Yes, I do. Sorry. My name is Juana Veronica Porras. My address is 5512 Buchanan Lane. And,
Just a second, I gotta, Veronica Porras Duarte, is that you?
yes, I am.
All right, just a second, I need to write the name down from the staff report. Okay, are you, is the gentleman gonna testify as well, or just you?
He is my husband. He's here to translate for me because my English is very limited, and my apologies because maybe sometimes I will not understand. So we will translate for me.
All right, then for you who's testifying, ma'am, I'm gonna have you raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give tonight will be the truth?
Yes,
All right, thank you. And what would you are one of the property owners, correct?
that's correct.
What would you like to tell me?
I already read the recommendation, and I'm totally agree with all the situation described here. So I think that I don't have anything to add to this.
Well, once again, as I indicated to the folks before, you as the applicant, you have the burden of proof to show that your request complies with all of the criteria set forth in the Pasco Municipal Code. And one of those important criteria is that there has been a change of conditions that warrant this additional, this change in the zone. Have there been any change of conditions that warrant the change of this zone on the property?
Yes.
Sorry, sir, I did not understand the question.
The main reason for this rezone change is to try to
If
relieve.
you're going to sir, if you're going to testify, I need your name and your address. And I need to put you under oath too.
Yeah, my name is Martin Porras. My address is 5512 Buchanan Lane here in Pasco, Washington.
All right, Mr. Flores, would you raise your right hand as you had before? Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give today will be the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you. Are you one of the property owners as well, or are you just here to help out your friend?
Well, the owner of the property is my wife, but I'm trying to help here. The reason why of this rezoning change application is because the main reason is to relieve the lack of low-income housing in affordable housing in Pasco. It's trying to relieve that. That's the main reason.
All right. Is there anything else that either of you would like to add?
No, sir.
All right. Okay, thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Did any member of the public come to testify on this matter?
I am not seeing any.
All right, thank you. Is there anything further from staff?
No, sir.
All right, so folks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the public record portion of the hearing on this matter. I will have my recommendation I recommended decision made within the next 10 working days. So thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you, sir.
We have another item on today's agenda. This is a special permit request. You have an application number SP 2021-019. And let me get to the request here. This is a request. Oops, I jumped to the plat. Well, I'll let Mr. Adams introduce this, but this is a request to locate an auto body paint and repair shop facility on property located within the city of Pasco that is more specifically described in the staff report as well as in the application materials. Now, for the record, I will admit into the record that staff report and all those attachments to the staff report, which include all the application materials, there are noticing documents, there are comments that have been submitted, there's aerial photographs and zoning maps. I'll admit all those items. Indeed, I will admit the entire planning staff file into the record at this time by this reference. And once again, turn this matter over to Mr. Adams for the staff presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. For the benefit of the public, this is Master File SP 2021-019. Andrew Jones, the applicant, and it looks like Brett Flory, the representative for Caliber Collision Auto Body Paint and Repair Shop in a C3 zone. This property is located at 404 North Oregon Avenue, parcel 112-104-053. It is currently zone C3, which is general commercial. The site contains just under an acre of land. Applicant wishes to renovate an existing 10,000 square foot building into an auto body paint and repair facility. Public notice of this hearing was sent to the property owners within 300 feet of the property and posted in the Tri-City Herald on December 20, 2021. Again, I have an affidavit of mailing in my possession right now. The site is occupied, as mentioned before, by a 10,000 square foot building. As per PMC 25.100.040 subsection 2, auto body shops require special permit review in the C3 district. Auto body uses are also regulated by PMC 25.165.200 subsection 1. As per PMC 25.165.200 subsection 1, auto body uses require an IBC approved spray paint room or booth. And those are the highlights from my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
It was a very thorough report, and I appreciate that. Is the applicant ready to proceed?
I am.
All right, sir. I will have you come forward. Are you online? Are you present, or are you online?
Yeah, I'm online.
All right, sir. Could you state your name for the record?
My name is Brett Flory. Address is 879 Junction Drive, Allen, Texas.
And how do you spell your last name, sir?
Flory.
All right, Mr. Flory, I'm going to have you raise your right hand for me, if you would. And, sir, do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury of the laws of the state of Washington that any testimony you give tonight will be the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you. Mr. Flory, are you here as an agent authorized to appear and speak on behalf of the property owner and applicant tonight?
I am.
All right, thank you. Now, what would you like to tell me about this project?
I think staff did a good job on the report as well, and I've been working with Caliber for over 9 years and doing most of their work across the country. I'm the architect that does most of their stuff. And Caliber is the largest collision repair company in the world. They have over 20,000 employees, over 1,400 locations, and they are the industry leader in the collision repair business. All the work they do is done inside the building. They will have a paint booth in there that we'll have to get. We're already applied for their quality permit, so they'll have to meet all state, federal, and local requirements. I've read through all the conditions and taken no issue with any of the conditions, and recommended approved by the staff. And we'd appreciate it if you could approve this special permit for us.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate the detail and brevity of your presentation. Thank you very much. We'll turn this over to the public now. Is there any member of the public that came to testify on this special permit application?
No one in the audience, sir.
All right, and there's nobody online as well, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, anything further from staff?
No, sir.
All right, then what I'm going to do, Mr. Flory, is I am going to close the public record portion of the hearing at this time, and I will have a written decision made within the next 10 working days. This will be a final decision, as I indicated earlier. So, wanted to let you know that.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you. Okay, the last item on today's agenda is, as I indicated before, these are a couple of separate applications that are for the same project. There is a planned preliminary plat application and a planned unit development. They're under application the application number 2021-001. And these are applications for developments that will be described in more detail by staff that is going to occur within the city of Pasco on property that is more specifically described in the staff report as well as in the application materials. There's a substantial file of record here, and I'm going to admit the staff report, all of the application materials, all the noticing documents, all the site plan drawings. There are expert witness reports. I'm going to admit all of those items. Indeed, I will admit the entire planning staff file into the record at this time by this reference. And who is going to present tonight for me?
Good evening, Mr. Examiner. This is Jay Gonzalez, Planning Manager.
All right. So your first, we haven't met before. So your first name is Jay or Jake?
Jacob, Jacob.
And your last name again?
Gonzalez, Gonzalez.
All right. It's nice to meet you, Mr. Gonzalez. What would you like to tell me about this project?
Thank you and good evening again. And as you had mentioned, we actually don't process too many planned unit developments, so this is a relatively new process for us. So we'll work our way through the presentation this evening. This is a proposal for a planned unit development, master file number PP PUD 2021-001. The site for this proposal is approximately 2,600 feet southwest of the intersection of Burns Road and Broadmoor Boulevard in northwest Pasco. The 19.33 acre site is currently zoned for residential transition, RT, and has a combination of 3 underlying comprehensive plan land uses of open space parks, mixed use regional, and office. Plan unit developments required an establishment of a PUD zone designation. The applicant has requested a zone of R4 for high density. The project associated with the plan unit development will result in approximately 240 residential apartment homes and 170 senior apartment homes with 149,360 square feet of open space. This is in conformance with the plan unit development regulations of the city of Pasco and has a gross density of approximately 21.21 density units per dwelling units per acre. As indicated in the staff report, the PUD and the associated project are in conformance with the Pasco Comprehensive Plan, the stated vision for the Broadmoor area, and in line with the recent and ongoing public infrastructure investments in the vicinity. City staff issued a SEPA determination of a mitigated determination of non-significance on October 20, 2021, and a public notice for this hearing was advertised in the Tri-City Herald on December 26th and distributed to property owners within 300 feet of the project site on December 30th, 2021. The staff report was distributed to the applicant who is here this evening. The applicant did contact staff to clarify discrepancy in the staff report with regards to finding number 12. The correct parking count is 735, not 770. Also, on tentative conclusion number 2, it shall be indicated that Burns Road, just to be clarified, as an arterial roadway, and that would be on Burns Road.
Just a second, let me make a note on that. What page was that again?
That would be tentative conclusion number 2 on page
All right,
7.
I gotta get this down, okay, number 2 on page 7, yes, okay.
The applicant has, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, what was the change?
No change, just simply to note that Burns Road should be clarified as an arterial roadway.
Okay, thank you.
And lastly, the applicant has submitted all necessary and required application materials, including an approved critical areas report, summarizing the shrub step habitat on the site with the appropriate mitigation measures. And that concludes the brief staff report this evening, Mr. Examiner.
Well, thank you very much. The one thing that I don't see, which I found unusual, I don't see any proposed conditions of approval. Are there any conditions of approval recommended for this matter?
The site plan that was submitted with the plan unit development is what city staff is using for conditions of approval in terms of the development itself. This is where, because we're not familiar with the plan unit development process, this might be an area where there could be some, I don't want to say gray area, but certainly some refinement to the process.
Okay. All right, thank you very much for explaining that to me. Let me make some more notes here. All right, thank you very much. Is the applicant, I understand, ready to proceed?
Yes, he is.
I am.
All right, sir, could you state your name and an address for me for the record?
Sure. Scott Morris, 120 West Cataldo Avenue, Spokane, Washington, 99201.
All right, Mr. Morris, would you raise your right hand for me? And do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give tonight will be the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you very much. And Mr. Morris, you must be here as an agent authorized to appear and speak on behalf of the applicant and property owner, is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, what would you like to tell me?
Well, first of all, thank you, Jacob, for a nice presentation and an excellent staff report. I am fully prepared to talk about the two projects, and I do have a PowerPoint with photos and everything, but given that it's essentially an empty room with no one online, and the fact that we agree with the staff report in all respects as amended by Mr. Gonzalez during his presentation, including the findings of facts and the recommendation, would like to adopt that as what we believe to be true and what we're asking for and recommending, would like to see you recommend to City Council. And unless you have specific questions or want to learn more about the projects or see photographs, I will close it at that and stick around.
So I have reviewed everything. I'm familiar with the project. It is a substantial project, that's for sure. When I asked staff about the conditions of approval, they were indicated that there are requirements that are set forth within the PUD site plan application. Is the applicant prepared to comply with all of those requirements?
We are, and I think some of them are kind of referenced in the report with respect to the 12-foot walkway and some of the road improvements and other things which are all shown in the plat and which we agree with.
And then I will probably, if I approve this, add and recommend approval for this, add a condition, just kind of a CYA type of a condition that says you'll comply with all of the provisions, rules, and regulations of the Pasco Municipal Code. Would the applicant have any objection with that? Recognizing that a planned unit development doesn't necessarily 100% comply with a municipal code. It has special qualities to it, but would you have any objection to a condition of that nature?
I don't have an objection to the extent there's not inconsistency. Obviously, we're using the planned unit development to establish the zoning and the parking and everything else. So it's, you know, as long as there's not any ambiguities there, we certainly intend to comply with municipal code and believe the PUD does so.
I think a condition of that nature might give the city, because we do have to have a final decision on the preliminary plat, that if the city council disagrees with, or makes their own decision on the planned unit development that's not favorable, that at least there is a preliminary plat out there that has been approved, that you would have to comply with the applicable rules and regulations. That's kind of where I was thinking.
Yeah.
But obviously a planned unit development, as everybody in the room is aware, is a special zoning. And that's where you get to your densities and the uniqueness of your project. So.
Right.
All right, thank you. Is there anything else the applicant would like to add? I'm familiar with it. I do not need to see your PowerPoint unless you want to get it into the record for the city council. I can certainly admit that into the record. If you want it to be shown to the city council, I can admit that as an exhibit. It wouldn't have your narration to it unless you want to go through it quickly.
No.
That's up to you.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and admit it? It has some bullet points in it that explain the project too, and you don't need to hear my voice, so that would be great if you would admit it as an exhibit for city council.
Okay, so that PowerPoint presentation will be admitted into the record. It will be, as with the remainder of this record, it will be part of the record that's sent to the city council, okay?
Great.
All right. Make some notes here. All right, is there anything else you'd like to add, Mr. Morris?
Nope, I will stick around if there's any questions, but otherwise I thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
All right.
I understand there's nobody else in the room that wants to talk about this, but is there anybody from the public, either online or in the room, that wants to offer any testimony on this project?
No, there's not, Mr. Examiner.
All right, and Mr. Gonzalez, is there anything further from staff?
No, Mr. Examiner.
All right, thank you very much. Then what I'm going to do, Mr. Morris, is I will have close the record on this hearing. I'll have a recommended decision and a final decision made within the next 10 working days. There are no other items that are on tonight's agenda. I appreciate everybody coming tonight. I'm now going to adjourn this this January 12, 2022 meeting of the City of Pasco Hearing Examiner. Thank you all very, very much for coming. Be very careful on your way home, drive safe, and I look forward to our next meeting. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.